This was private property. There was no dialogue by government with us in any form or fashion, and the government has just high-handedly acquired the property. I honestly feel as if I'm living in a communist state. I have not been paid anything for the land, $0. When a government circumvents a landlord right like that, you're setting a seriously bad precedent. So we have no idea where they are measuring from. It says Simone Murray et al., which means that it could be right where I'm standing, my house. They could decide to take my house. I don't measure from my house. I don't know. I'm a cancer survivor. I'm not going to put myself through unnecessary stress and go have that situation recurring again.
Do you think that the government is rewarding bad behavior?
Hello everyone, my name is Simone Murray and I am the estate manager for McLean's estate, really, situated in Richmond Hill. My grandmother used to manage it before I did, and my grandmother is the daughter of Edward McLean, who is the original owner of the estate. So over time, different persons in the family would have taken their portion that was allotted to them. Generally, in the 1980s, thereabout, I remember at that time we used to rent the lands out to persons doing renting plots for farming, really. We did have a few persons on the land, but most would have moved on from time to time. In the 1990s was really when persons started renting house spots, as we say. And late in the 1990s, when I came back from school, when I really looked at the landscape and realized, you know, almost all the land that we had had really gone to housing.
What is the total size of the land that is in the estate?
We had the original, there are two portions. The original was, I think, 4-point-something acres, and then there was another 5 acres. So there was 9 acres in all, but some portions of it were sold off before, in, I would say, 1950s, 1960s.
So currently, what is the size of the portion or parcel of land over which you have authority, ownership, whatever it is? And maybe you can clarify that for us.
It would be about, I would say about 5 acres, you know.
And are you the owner or the manager of the estate?
I am the manager.
So who owns the estate?
So it's basically family owned. So my cousin owns a portion, the portion in the middle right there. So I manage that on her behalf. And the balance of the estate is still vested in the original owner, Edward McLean. So they have not, the children, all of the children have not probated their portion as yet.
Is Mr. McLean still alive?
No, he died in 1965. So that is why I'm saying that the will was probated, but not everybody took their portions as yet. So I would have taken my portion, my cousin would have taken her portion, others before would have taken their portion, but we still have 3 portions that we know where where they are because they would have been delineated in the original deed, demarcated. My grandmother would have showed me who owns what, and those are basically still vested in the original estate.
What is the current issue with the lands? Okay, you spoke about people at first, the family used to rent out the lands for farming, and then you began renting the lands for house plots.
Yes.
So what is the current status of the land, and what is the issue why you've invited me to come here to talk to you?
Okay. In 2005, originally, we would have tried to bring order to the property. My grandmother was at that time 90 years old, and she was not able to manage things anymore. So she passed the baton over to me to manage. She would have told me who the names of the persons being rented, who would have been delinquent at that point in time. So I thought to bring order. So what I did is that the persons who were delinquent at that time were given notice to vacate. The others, although they were primarily in good standing, we gave them 5 years to vacate because we wanted to bring better order to the land, go back into farming primarily and so on. Basically, we did not have use of the estate. Although it was ours, we really couldn't do anything with it. So those 5 years elapsed, persons were still there, some moved on. Then we had a situation where more persons had become delinquent. In 2014, I took two of such persons to court. They were given eviction notices, and they asked me for leniency. I said to them, find somewhere to go. I don't want to exercise the court order. I don't want to knock your house roof off or anything like that, So fast forward to now, 2020. My cousin, who owns a portion of the land, she wants to use her land to do something with. So she only has like four tenants on her part of the property. So I would have spoken to them last year, and I would have said, my cousin needs to do some stuff with her property. So more than likely, you would get notice. So start to look for somewhere to go. Then we had problems with other persons on the other parts of the property where they were delinquent in paying.
Tell us a little about this rent. How much were people asked to pay?
Okay, on my cousin's portion of the property, those persons pay $50 a year for each house spot. On the other parts of the property, there were ranges. They range from $50 a year to $300 a year or $25 a month, and it was really based on the circumstances of the persons, because they're poor people. So I didn't want to make the rent too exorbitant, but still have them pay rent, because you have the issue of possessory title and all of those if you just let somebody just stay on your land. So basically it was like peppercorn rent, and it would also afford the opportunity for them to move on as well, which was really what our intention was. Somebody come, they set themselves up for a couple of years and then they move on, and that was really what would have happened over the period of time. So we had some disorder on the property, lack of paying rent. When my grandmother died in 2015, that was the last time some of those people actually paid rent. I don't know if they figured because my grandmother is now dead, you know, they don't need to honor anything anymore. As a matter of fact, when I approached one person in December, and I said to her and her husband, "You have not paid rent since my grandmother has died." Her attitude was to me, "When I get the money, I'll pay." You know, that kind of thing. And she said to other persons that she's not paying me a cent. Then we also had the issue where two persons who would have originally rented from us, they went back to live with their daughters, I think. And I would have made it clear that we do not want to continue a rental agreement once you have vacated the property with any of your relatives. I don't want it to be generational. So yes, you're older people. I mean, I can deal with you. I can die before an older person, whatever, but you know, when you move out, when you move on, I'm no longer interested in renting the property. So those were another two persons who we had problems with, and the others were delinquent a year, 2 years. So
how many persons altogether?
we have 16 persons on the land. We gave 11 notice. One person on my cousin land actually has 2 house spots, so she was just given one. But 8 were actually the ones that were on the other side of the property that we, in one way or the other, had different issues with, whether it would be moving out and having relatives move in, or they were just delinquent. And we had problems on the property where they would harvest all our fruits. I mean, that was from ever since, but it got to the point where they started encroaching on even our own, like in very close proximity to our houses then. So it was, you know, I don't mind if they pick from a tree far away, but you know, to come right into our mouths. Then my goat got stolen right behind my house. Then material got stolen from just across the house, a BRC and steel. So that was in May. Yes, in May. And you know, at that point in time, I just decided I'm just fed up. I can't take it anymore. I can't be behind somebody reminding them, "Oh, you owe me $50, or you owe me $100. I don't have the energy to keep on doing those things. Or you haven't paid me for 2 years and get cussed out for $60 or $100. That is not my thing. So I said, you know what? I'm tired. My my cousins would have said, she wants to use her land otherwise. I say, well, you know what, since I'm given these other 8, I'll just give these other 3 one time and just deal with it. Said these others, they would need a little bit more time. The ones that had notices before, I reminded them of the notices. The ones that had eviction notices, I gave them a very short time to leave, because they would have originally had 1 month to vacate as per the court. I gave some of them until November to leave, because yes, because their notice was since 2014 by the court. So it's now 6 years on, and you're not moving. 1 of 2 of them did come to me and say they have gotten a piece of land, but they might need until February. And I said, okay. But there was this core group, I think 3 of them, went to ministers of government, prime minister, whatever, and complained. And 2 of the 3 of them, 1 had eviction notices served by the court. The other one was the most delinquent of all the people on the property. And they went and, well, I could say petition the government. And the next thing that we know, our land was in the Gazette, saying that they are acquiring the lands of Simone Murray et al., 3 acres more or less. No dialogue whatsoever with us as to why, what, when, who, what is the situation. No dialogue. In the Gazette, it also stated that we could have inspected the survey plan. There is absolutely no survey plan when we checked. So we have no idea where they are measuring from. It says Simone Murray et al., which means that it could be right where I'm standing, my house. They could decide to take my house. I don't measure from my house. I don't know. I don't know if they're paying us $1, $2, $5. I have no clue. So that is the issue. The issue at hand is that this was private property. There was no dialogue by government with us in any form or fashion, and the government has just high-handedly acquired the property from us. So that is my whole problem with this.
Would you have been willing to sell some of the lands if the government had approached you?
That would have been a decision for everybody to make together, right? So I cannot say yes or no.
What is your personal view? You personally?
My personal view is that there's only a small portion of the land which really belongs to my cousin, that any real housing could be done on.
Why? Is it because the slope, the contours?
The slope, the fact that we had 2 slides, one in 2011 and one in 2016. And I have had conversations with the same residents and said to them that, where you're living is dangerous. If you look behind us up there, those are stones. Right on the top up there they have often complained to me that stones rolled out to the hill on them. So then, why do you want that same property if it's dangerous? Sometimes when I approach them for rent, they say, we're on a road, the place swampy and stony. No, we never advertised to say, come and rent some land from us, you know. They came begging my grandmother, because since I took over in 2005, I did not rent any more land. Anybody that came to me, I told them, no, I have no land to rent.
So all of these tenants have been here before 2005?
Yes. They have been here before 2005.
So, well, you did say that the government acted in a way where there was no consultation. How do you feel generally about this whole situation? Do you feel that is there any, well, I don't want to put words in it, how do you feel about the situation?
I feel disenfranchised because I honestly feel as if I'm living in a communist state, because this is what you will do in a communist state. You will just decide to acquire, no dialogue. I'm just taking what you have, and I'm taking from you to give to somebody else.
So just to be absolutely clear, you're saying that based on your knowledge of the land, past experiences, and the complaints from the householders themselves, there's certain parts of the land where it is a danger to the householders for them to be there.
Right. Because they had to actually, Nemo actually had to rent places for 2 of the householders on that portion of the property. They had landslides and they had to vacate them.
Do you know if the government is aware of the severity, if that's the appropriate word, of the situation here?
The government has not investigated anything. Zero. So, as far as I am concerned, it is not even in the people's best interest that they acquire this property. It is really not. I have said to the people before, I said, you know, find somewhere else to go now. I am not going to put in a road. I cannot put in a road based on a maximum rent of $300 a year. That is not feasible for me. The return on investment is not. There's no feasibility there. So get that out of your mind. I think it would have been better if the government would have relocated these persons.
The persons who are viewing, they might not see him, but he's not too far away. Off camera, your husband is a physician, and some of the comments seem to suggest that some of this is being fueled by this. Is this something you want to comment on, or you want to invite him to comment on directly?
That it's being fueled by him?
Yes.
No, it's not being fueled by him. I wanted to manage this property differently. My idea was to restore order and bring it back to what my great-grandfather used to have, which is growing our own food. I even wanted to go into bee farming. And well, let me get a little personal. I am a breast cancer survivor. So since that time, I have to be mindful what I eat, chemicals, etc. So we have started to grow a lot more of what we eat, and because of the issues with sheep and goat eating down your stuff and all of that, it has been difficult for us to really expand. And as I said, we have not had the benefit of the land, although we have owned it. Because if you add up what we as a family would collect for a whole year, it's not much, you know. And then there's delinquency on top of that. We paid our taxes, so there's not an issue where we were delinquent in any way. I remember my grandmother would always say to me, Simone, every June, make sure you pay the taxes. And we've been doing that. So we fulfilled all our requirements to the state. And to me, you know, I rent an office downtown. My husband rents an office downtown. So to me, we can also be delinquent in our rent. And if the landlord comes to us and say, well, you need to leave, I can just take a trip over to the financial complex and be given the space that I'm occupying. Or even if I am paid up and my landlord, because the landlord has a right to use his or her property in whatever way they feel. If he comes to me and says, well, Simone, you've been renting from us for the last 5 years, but we really need to renovate the building, so we're gonna give you 3 months, 5 months, whatever, notice to vacate. He has a right to do that. And when a government circumvents a landlord right like that, you're setting a seriously bad precedent. You could have had a conversation with me if you wanted to step in as a government and say, oh well, you're displacing 11 families, why are you doing that? And I would have explained the same way that I would have explained to you for the various different reasons. And I would have said, you know, if you want more time, I can give you more time, but we really want to use our property to our benefit.
Okay, you explained that 11, you have given notices to vacate to 11 of the householders. Mm-hmm. What about the other 5? Why did you choose not to order the eviction?
Okay, they were really on the outskirts, although one is right across the way, but I could have relocated him where I could have had proper use of the property in any case, but it would not have been suitable to relocate all 4 of them, right? Because as I said, some of the land is not suitable for housing. So they were on the periphery, and we could have walked around those 5 households.
Do you have any idea what will happen after the government acquires the land?
Well, the government has acquired the land.
So the land legally is no longer yours?
No.
And do you know if any offer has been made to the residents? How much were you paid for the land?
I have not been paid anything for the land. $0.
And you don't know what portion of the land has been acquired?
They said in the Gazette, 3 acres more or less.
But I mean, when I say what portion, where this 3 acres is?
I don't know. There's no survey plan. We went to examine the survey plan. There's no survey plan. So I don't know. where the 3 acres starts, where it ends, and as they said, more or less. Okay, so I don't know if I want to put up a fence, where I can put up a fence. I have no clue. I don't know if the government is paying me $1 or $2 for the whole portion. I spoke to my cousin on Sunday, and she was just beside herself. The only reason she is not here right now is because of COVID. She lives in England. She has 3 sons, and the family is not a huge family left. It's my cousin, myself, my brother, really, my mother. So, you know, it's, my mother also can't come. She's in Texas, and that's where things are spiking. So I am really, my brother's here, but he doesn't really get too involved in the whole thing. So it's me, really.
Have you hired an attorney?
We have not hired an attorney. We had legal advice though. I am not going to, as I said before, I'm a cancer survivor. I'm not going to put myself through unnecessary stress and go have that situation recurring again. I am going to leave this in the hands of God to deal with it and receive my justice, because I am perfectly sure that when these people sleep at night knowing what they did, they would not have a good night's sleep.
For these people, the homeowners or the state?
The homeowners who champion the cause, because I must say, it's not every single one of them that was involved in this whole acquisition. They would benefit, yes, because they're there, but the ones that champion the cause, that know that they were wrong, and the ministers of government who decided to go this route.
Do you think that the government is rewarding bad behavior?
Yes, they are. Absolutely. They are rewarding bad behavior. Because you can't tell me that you think that it is appropriate to reward somebody that has not paid me rent for 5 years. And as I said, the persons who led the charge were really the most delinquent people. And let me add, they have land elsewhere. This particular tenant has land in Belmont. So I want to ask her if she would like me to go and find her land, build a house on there, refuse to pay her rent, and when she gives me notice, I go to the government and get her land. I would like to ask her that.